There's a brand new TV series on HBO called The Franchise. It comes to you from the minds of Jon Brown, Armando Iannucci, and Sam Mendes. And essentially, it is a piss take of franchise films. 30-minute sitcom, if you can call it that, in a very Iannucci style. It's directed by Sam Mendes, and it basically takes you behind the scenes of the production of what is supposedly a Marvel movie, even though they don't call it a Marvel movie.
They're shooting I guess it's a spin-off type thing of one of the characters because they are currently in post-production for their current tentpole film Centurios 2. Tecto, the movie we're following, is the spin-off of one of the characters anyway. So there's a lot of fun to be had here, although I'm not sure if it's too much fun for my liking.
If there is a lead in this series, it would probably be Himesh Patel, who plays the first AD on set of Tecto, Eye of the Storm. And he is this somewhat likable character who is always trying to make sure everything works. And I think that feels like the role of the first AD because the director, played by the very, very amazing Daniel Bruhl, also MCU alum, but at this point, who isn't an MCU alum? The director is this head in the sky type of character who is all about his own creative vision and not having the movie look too bright.
Because the fanboys all just want everything bright, right? I think there's a bit early on where Himesh Patel's Daniel sort of, I'm pretty sure he meant it as an insult when Himesh Patel sort of throws out there and says, "This is why you won the Golden Leopard at Locarno."
Yeah, everyone fucking wins the Golden Leopard at Locarno, right?
But also, it's just this idea that this is that period in time where the MCU would just pick up any art house director, indie director who's won something, anything, anywhere, and just give them a film and hope they don't fail. I enjoy it. I enjoyed it. I just felt like, I think my issue with it is that I respect the system too much for someone like Armando Iannucci to sort of piss all over it the way he does. Unlike the way he did with The Thick of It and on some level Veep and all that. But this is just like, I feel it's easy to make fun of people who are trying their hardest to do a practically impossible job.
I didn't get that from watching the first episode, in that I feel there was still something of a love letter to show business in there, despite all of the chaos and corporate shenanigans that go on. And what I liked about the franchise was it feels like Jon Brown, Armando Iannucci, and Sam Mendes have probably had similar encounters during their time in Hollywood. And so a lot of it feels like inside baseball that adds a level of authenticity to something like this.
Absolutely. I have no doubts that all of these things have happened and probably worse, right?
Tecto, Eye of the Storm, which is the movie that they're currently shooting, which stars Billy Magnuson as its lead, and of course the great Richard E. Grant as I, the I in Eye of the Storm. It feels almost like what Simu would have gone through with Shang-Chi, in that it is a
Right.
lesser film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's essential. It's a cog in the wheel, but it ain't no Avengers, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so the way everyone speaks to everyone else with regards to the importance of Tecto, I think does ring true. The only thing about the franchise is that it feels a little light
Yeah.
compared to other satires that we've seen. So if you take Hacks, for example, Hacks feels like a serious satire on Hollywood and aging comedians and late
Yes.
night and all of that stuff. Even if you take The Boys is a lot more brutal in its satire of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
But the franchise feels a lot more fun. It feels a lot more light-hearted, and it feels a lot more soap opera-y.
And I think that's my issue with it. In that you mentioned the franchise having influences of a love letter to the industry, where I think Hacks did that more. I think the franchise feels too much like an Englishman's version of what they think happens in the American studio system.
And all three of these guys are Englishmen, right?
And all three of these guys are Englishmen, right? So, no offense, like, this is not a big deal. I'm being a complete dumbass here, but I don't believe in any big production can an extra walk up to an AD and tell them about their anxiety attack that they're having because of the makeup. There are too many layers between the AD and an extra for that to have happened. And that's what I mean by it feels like they're not taking it seriously.
Also, for those who don't know, the first AD is probably the second most important person on set after the director. Like, the first AD does a lot of the work. Like, if they have
Yeah.
shoots in Dubai or Switzerland, the director ain't flying out there. It's the first AD who's doing all of that stuff.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of my thing with it. And I don't hate it. It hasn't bounced me off. Like, I am going to be watching this to the end because I am curious and I really enjoy all those people you mentioned, but also soundtracked by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
The music is fantastic.
The music is fantastic, and I think that's hilarious. Like, at some point, I want to see Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross on screen because they're doing the music for Tecto Eye of the Storm. I think that would be hilarious. But at any rate, for me, it feels like less of a satire and more of just a comedy about the superhero filmmaking machine. And that's where I'm bouncing off. It's sort of how I bounced off The Office. Like, nobody is that silly. Nobody is that dumb. I have trouble enjoying it because the characters are such caricatures of what they should and could have been.
I agree with you with regards to the lightness of the comedy, because that's what I got from it as well, in that this one doesn't feel like it's serious satire. It doesn't even feel like something akin to the Veep.
Yeah.
This one feels a lot lighter than that. However, I think it's partly why I'm enjoying it as much, in that it doesn't feel like something I need to take all that seriously. It kind of blends and merges all of the stuff that we're experiencing on a day-to-day basis and puts it together with a fantastic cast and some very, very funny lines and some great cursing. And it's all of that stuff that Iannucci does really, really well. And so the package for me works.
Yeah.
The irony here, of course, is that while they are ostensibly shitting on the MCU, it feels like all of this chaos is more representative of what's going on at Warner.
Yes.
And I don't know, like, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but I am pretty sure Iannucci, Mendes, and Brown know that. And I'm sure they managed to pull a fast one over some executive, maybe even Zaslav, because all of the stuff that's taking place and the chaos within the cinematic universe feels like the rushed work and the debacle that was Warner Brothers comic universe.
Yeah, it feels like the producers on this one just went to HBO and said, no, this is the MCU. Can't you tell? This is the MCU. I'm talking about completely about the MCU. Look at, we're poking fun, we're poking the bear, we're kicking that can. It's fine, don't worry about it.
Yeah, that visionary Feige. Clearly Feige. We're just making fun of
Clearly
Feige.
Although I did notice that very early in episode 1, there was a WB truck in the
There
background.
was a Warner Brothers truck.
Yeah, so I'm like, I don't know, maybe, yeah. Anyway, at any rate, I had a lot of fun with this. If anything, I think this is that one show that I've seen in a long time that could have benefited from a 2-episode or a 3-episode drop.
I think so too.
Yeah, I feel like half an hour, it was too light for me to sort of get into it, I think. And I think had I had another episode, I think that would have been great.
Let us know what your thoughts are on the franchise. It is now streaming on HBO. Are you a fan? Are you not? You know how to reach out. Goggler MY, all of our social media feeds. You can also email us on podcast at goggler.my or send us a WhatsApp on the Goggler hotline 012-524-5208. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Goggler Podcast.